Hey, what's up everybody? This is Sean Woolslegel from Sean Woolslegel Cybersecurity coming at you with another episode of Cybersecurity Degree for free. And in tonight's episode, we're going to be focusing on the different types of malware, following up on last night's video, which you can find by clicking above here. Here's a list of all the most commonly found types of malware in the wild, things you're going to encounter whenever you're working as a cybersecurity professional. First of all, you're going to encounter viruses. You'll encounter worms, Trojan horses, ransomware, spyware, adware, botnets, rootkits, fileless malware, mobile malware, exploits, scareware, keyloggers. These are just some of the types of malware that you'll see whenever you're working as a cybersecurity professional. So let's dig into those. First is viruses. So what is a virus? You hear the term virus all the time when you think about malware. In fact, most of us, it's the first thing we ever hear about whenever we think about malware in general. We think malware is a virus, right? So there's differences here. According to NIST, a virus is a computer program that can copy itself and infect a computer without permission or knowledge of the user. A virus might corrupt or delete data on a computer, use email programs to spread itself to other computers, or even erase everything on a hard disk. So you can see how a virus can be very dangerous and how companies that make their money on anti-malware services are able to showcase why it's important to have anti-malware on your machine. If you don't have it already, I highly recommend that you get an anti-malware product. There's lots of good ones out there. Microsoft Defender is a very good one that comes out of the box. For Windows machines, there's also CrowdStrike and plenty of others out there. Those are the two big ones that come to mind nowadays. However, there's many other anti-malware solutions out there. So again, a virus being something that can copy itself and infect without permission or knowledge of the user is very important. Because of that, it makes it very dangerous, and that's why it's super important to keep all of your stuff up to date all the time. The next type of malware is worms. So what is a worm exactly? A worm is a computer program that can run independently, can propagate a complete working version of itself onto other hosts on a network, and may consume computer resources destructively. Also, a self-replicating program that propagates itself through a network onto other computer systems without requiring a host program or any user intervention to replicate. You can see how a worm is like a virus, but it just can go throughout your network very fast. And so that's what makes a worm very dangerous. Again, best thing you can do is to have things like network segmentation and also making sure that you're patching your systems and having anti-malware products installed on your endpoints. The next definition is a Trojan horse. According to NIST, a Trojan horse is a computer program that appears to have a useful function but also has a hidden and potentially malicious function that evades security mechanisms, sometimes by exploiting legitimate authorizations of a system entity that invokes the program. Also, a useful or seemingly useful program that contains hidden code of a malicious nature that executes when the program is invoked. So these were a big deal back in the late 90s, early 2000s. We saw those a lot when I was a kid. I'm not that old, I'm 30. But with these different types of Trojan horses that came out, and they're still out today, we still see them pretty commonly, they look like something that you want. So you download a video game off the internet that's illegitimate, or you download a music video or a movie or something that you really want, and it has a Trojan horse, and it's masquerading as that legitimate thing, but it's actually a Trojan horse. So when you download that, you're injecting malicious code on your machine and not even realizing it, and it might even have a rootkit or something where you're going to just completely destroy your machine, or somebody's going to go ahead and gain access to your financial information because they'll be able to snoop and eavesdrop on your computer. Maybe they install a keylogger. There's a lot of different things that you can do through a Trojan horse, and they're very dangerous. My recommendation here is to make sure that you're only downloading things from reputable sources. So the next category of malware is ransomware, which is a huge hot item. And we hear about it all the time in the news. We hear about it all the time all over the internet. Ransomware is all the rage, and it has been for the last several years. It's very dangerous. You have a lot of different players in there. you have a lot of nation state actors involved where they're able to go ahead and spread ransomware like wildfire. And if you ever work in a large enterprise, it is definitely a lot of the talk about making sure that you secure your assets to the best of your ability. So here's the definition on ransomware. According to NIST, ransomware is a type of malicious attack where attackers encrypt an organization's data and demand payment to restore access. Attackers may also steal an organization's information and demand an additional payment in return for not disclosing that information. That's a very good definition. It's basically holding your data, your crucial intellectual property, your crucial personal information hostage until you pay the bad actor whatever that is that they want from you. You want to have things like firewalls. You want to have things like anti-malware. You want to have intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems. Patching is probably the best thing that you could do. Patch as soon as you possibly can. Make sure you're patching your systems all the time. The next category is spyware. According to NIST, spyware is software that is secretly installed into a system to gather information on individuals or organizations without their knowledge. It is a type of malicious code. You can think of spyware as something that's pre-installed on a computer that you get. Let's say you get a brand new laptop, and on that laptop they have all this, what we call bloatware, and in there is something that they didn't know, and it's basically spying on everything that you're doing. You can think of keyloggers as a type of spyware, because everything you type, it's keeping track of that and then it's sending it somewhere else. The best thing you can do is to start with a clean, fresh image on your computer. And an image is essentially just a brand new copy of Windows or Mac OS. Make sure it's clean, it doesn't have anything extra added onto it, and that it's approved by the company that you work for, so that way you don't have to worry about something being installed on the machine. And also make sure that you don't randomly download things from the internet. Make sure you're always downloading things from reputable sources. The next type of malware is adware. NIST doesn't have an official definition for adware, but my best definition for adware is software that you download from your browser, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, and it is essentially bogging down your computer. It is putting ads all over the place. Maybe you get pop-ups whenever you open your web browser. Maybe your grandma downloaded something and didn't know what she was doing, and now every single time you open up Google Chrome, it's going out to some random address instead of google.com as the home page. That's adware. It's something that you don't want on your computer. It's not necessarily going to do anything to hurt your machine. It's just going to be something that's going to slow it down and be annoying. So definitely, again, with the last few definitions, make sure you're going to reputable places and don't just randomly click download on things. That's definitely my best advice for when it comes to staying safe from adware. The next definition is botnets. So according to NIST, a botnet is formed from the words robot and network. Cybercriminals use special Trojan viruses to breach the security of several users' computers, take control of each computer, and organize all the infected machines into a network of bots that the criminal can remotely manage. That's a pretty good example of a botnet. Botnets are used for denial of service attacks, distributed denial of service attacks. You'll see it where they're trying to spread malware or steal company information or sensitive data. Botnets basically are infected machines that have just been sitting out there for too long, and so somebody takes advantage of it using a software like they search on Shodan, and so you find things and take advantage of that and build a botnet, and then you have a little army that you can use to attack different corporate assets that you don't like if you're one of the bad guys. So the best thing that you can do again for this is to go ahead and patch your systems, making sure that you're keeping tabs on them, making sure that you're keeping track of your assets, and that way you can prevent things like botnets from happening in your network. The next definition is rootkits. According to NIST, a rootkit is a set of tools used by an attacker after gaining root-level access to a host to conceal the attacker's activities on the host and permit the attacker to maintain root-level access to the host through covert means. Also, a collection of files that is installed on a host to alter the standard functionality of the host in a malicious and stealthy way. Rootkits are very bad, And the main reason why they're super bad is because if you go ahead and wipe a machine after it has been infected with a rootkit, it could still be installed on the machine. So they're very hard to wipe. You might have to get an entirely new machine. You might have to put a new HDD or new SSD in the machine. You might have to get a specialty type of anti-malware where that can get rid of any kind of rootkits. Even then, you still don't know if you've gotten rid of the rootkit or not. So it's always good to stay vigilant, so that way you can make sure that you don't get rootkits in your systems. Patch your machines. Make sure that you're using network segmentation. Make sure that you're using firewalls. You don't want to get any rootkits. They're very bad. They're great for attackers. They're terrible for cybersecurity professionals. The next type of malware is fileless malware. So fileless malware doesn't have an official definition on NIST, but CrowdStrike had a very good definition of what fileless malware is, and that is a type of malicious activity that uses native, legitimate tools built into a system to execute a cyber attack. Unlike traditional malware, fileless malware does not require an attacker to install any code on a target system, making it hard to detect. So this is definitely something you don't want on your machine. This is something that I personally have never seen in my career, but it's definitely something to make sure that you're watching out for. Some quick ways that you can protect against fileless malware is, again, using a strong firewall, making sure that you're using your trusted apps from reputable sources, make sure that you have a good anti-malware solution, and make sure that you're using services to block phishing emails. There's a lot of different ways that you can protect yourself against fileless malware, and I highly recommend that you just make sure that your machines are patched as best as you possibly can. That's the number one way to protect against any type of malware in general, as well as making sure that you have that additional layer of an anti-malware program. So the next definition is mobile malware. And mobile malware, according to CrowdStrike, is any type of malware designed to target mobile devices. Mobile malware is delivered through malicious downloads, operating system vulnerabilities, phishing, smishing, and the use of unsecured Wi-Fi. So let's say you're at an airport and you're working on something on your phone and you're connected up to their open wireless, and you go onto a website that you think is legitimate, and whenever you get on that website, it's actually illegitimate. Somebody's able to put some type of malware on your device, whether that's an iPhone or an Android device. Some ways that you can prevent this is to use things like a VPN on your phone, making sure that you're updating your phone to the latest version of Android or iOS, and just making sure that you're generally being safe whenever you're online. Don't click on random links. Don't open things that you shouldn't open. Make sure that you're downloading official apps from the App Store or the Play Store. Those are some quick and easy ways to go ahead and prevent things like mobile malware on your device. The next type of malware is an exploit. According to CrowdStrike, an exploit is a piece of software or data that opportunistically uses a defect in an operating system or an app to provide access to unauthorized actors. The exploit may be used to install more malware or steal data. The easiest way to prevent this is to go ahead and patch your system. There's also a chance that you're not going to be able to prevent every exploit because of things like 0 days, but you should patch as frequently as you possibly can to prevent this type of attack. The next type of malware is scareware. This definition comes to us from Fortinet, which is another cybersecurity services solution, and definitely a good one, very reputable. Scareware is a cyber attack tactic that scares people into visiting spoofed or infected websites or downloading malicious software. Scareware can come in the form of pop-up ads that appear on a user's computer or spread through spam email attacks. A scareware attack is often launched through pop-ups that appear on a user's screen, warning them that their computer or files have been infected and then offering a solution. So, social engineering, you're going to get something on your screen that's going to say, warning, you've been hacked, or something really bad. And so the best thing you can do with those types of things is not fall victim to that. Don't actually take it legitimately. You probably are not being attacked, most likely, very high likelihood that you're not being actually attacked. If you need help, call a cybersecurity professional. I actually offer services myself, although you can go ahead and go with anybody else, such as Fortinet or CrowdStrike or anybody else, and make sure that it's not a legitimate attack. And there's lots of cybersecurity professionals out there that would love to do this kind of work and help you out in making sure that you're not actually getting attacked. The next malware definition is keylogger. And keyloggers, according to CrowdStrike, are tools that record what a person types on a device. While there are legitimate and legal uses for keyloggers, many uses are malicious. In a keylogger attack, the keylogger software records every keystroke on the victim's device and sends it to the attacker. You can see how things like a rootkit or a Trojan virus would be able to put a keylogger on your machine, track everything you're typing, and then steal something like your social security number. Again, make sure you're patching your systems, make sure you're staying up to date, make sure that you are using things like a firewall. As long as you're being smart, you won't have things like a keylogger on your machine. Last but not least, I just wanted to go over a couple things that will help you prevent this in general. Make sure that you're using strong passwords, and make sure that you're using multi-factor authentication for your accounts. Make sure you're patching your systems. Make sure that you're careful of what websites you go out to and what things you click on. Downloading things from reputable sources. Those are all things you can do to be careful. Make sure that you're not opening up suspicious emails. Make sure that your users aren't opening suspicious emails. Make sure that you're using firewalls, you're using VPNs whenever you're connecting over an open network. If you do all these things that I mentioned, you're going to be in much better shape in your protection efforts against malware. So that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this content, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great night.